So I will explain to you a bit on suppository, and the rest, I mean in detail, you will have the lecture later on, okay? Okay, suppository is actually a dosage form that is made from wax, okay? So it's made from wax. So it's made from wax. Okay, so there are different type of wax or oil that can be used to prepare the suppository. Um, as an example, we have theobroma oil. Theobroma oil. Okay, so ugly. Theobroma oil. So theobroma oil is also known as cocoa butter. Okay, this material is obtained from cocoa. Okay, you know cocoa that you eat chocolate, right? So from cocoa beans, okay, you have like about approximately 50% water content that you can make into cocoa drinks and yeah, things like that. And another approximately 50% is made of oil or butter. Okay, so when we want to make chocolate, you know, the chocolate bar, basically we will use both the butter part and the water content part. But for the preparation of suppository, one of the material that can be used is by using the cocoa butter only. Okay, and this will form this will harden and to form the nice suppository. Before that, you know suppository, suppository is also known as ubat peluru, okay, that being insert into the rectum. Okay, usually this is for prepared for babies, okay, usually, or patient that are really, you know, that is bed bound, that can or can swallow tablets. Okay, for some population of patient, usually we at times we will formulate into suppository for ease of administration. Okay, so one type of wax is theobroma oil, and we have different type of wax. As an example, we have macro gold. Macro gold is another type of wax that can be used to prepare suppository, but the properties are different than theobroma oil. Another type of material that can be used to prepare suppository is glycerogelatin. Okay, so it's a mixture between glycerin, gelatin, and water. And this mixture will produce also suppository, but the texture will be different than the one produced by using the wax. Okay. Okay, so for this exercise 4.1, this is actually a formula that can be obtained from BPC. So you can refer to page 798 in BPC. Okay, and this is specifically mentioned in BPC to be prepared from theobroma oil base. So for this prescription, you will use cocoa butter to as the base for the suppository. Okay. When we want to produce suppository, usually we will use mole. Okay, mole. It's like I have to show you example of the mole. Okay, so the one that we have in the lab is something like this. You can see, right? So there's two parts, upper part and lower part, and we have like a screw here. So when you remove the screw, the two parts will be separated. So Okay, so this is the mold is made from stainless steel, okay, the one that we have in the lab. But there are also different type of molds. We also have plastic type, okay, like this. Okay, this one is some examples for the plastic type. So for the plastic type, basically you fill in the molten base mixed with the drug, and then you seal, and then you don't have to remove from the mold because it's like it's a one time use mold. But for the mold made from stainless steel, you would need to remove from the mold, and you have to wrap it properly for dispensing to patient. Okay, so for this tutorial, for this practical, basically you are going to mix morphine 30 milligram. Okay, so this morphine will be in the form of salt, morphine hydrochloride, 30 milligram, and you are going to mix with cocoa butter, okay, or theobroma oil, to make the final weight of 1 gram. As specified in the prescription, you have to supply 1 gram suppository. So the final weight of the suppository should be 1 gram of suppository. So the mold that we have in the lab is actually calibrated, okay, pre-calibrated to contain 1 gram of cocoa butter. Okay, so if you fill the mold until full, okay, until the top, you will have 1 gram of suppository. But in preparing suppository, we have to remember that the mold was calibrated with cocoa butter, pure cocoa butter. No drug was added during the calibration. So because we are going to prepare a suppository with a drug, okay, with drugs incorporated, the amount of the weight of the final suppository will be a bit different. So I will show you what need to be considered. Okay. According to BPC, it's written in BPC, okay, 1.5 gram of morphine hydrochloride will displace 1 gram of cocoa butter. What does this mean? This means that when you fill in the mold with the cocoa butter pure, with the pure cocoa butter, you will have 1 gram of suppository. But if you fill in the mold with cocoa butter plus the drug up until the top, the weight of the final cocoa butter or suppository will not be 1 gram. It will be more than that because of this displacement value. So we have to consider the displacement value to calculate how much cocoa butter to use in the formulation. Because this is not like liquid preparation when you can take a bottle, you can just fill in your preparation and top up with water until, let's say, 100 ml. So this is not the case with suppository. We can't fill in the drug and then we top the cocoa butter until the top here. We can't do that because we have to make sure the mixture is homogeneous, and this is in the form of semi-solid. This is not a liquid preparation. We can't just shake the mold. We have to make sure the calculation is accurate so that we know how much exactly the cocoa butter need to be added. Now, according to the prescription, you have to send 6 suppository. 6 suppository would mean 6 gram of final cocoa butter. Okay, but when we want to prepare suppository, we would not prepare 6 suppository. We would prepare more than 6. We would prepare usually about 10 suppository. we have to prepare in excess, because when you during the process later on, you will lose some of the molten base on the, on the evaporating dish, on the spatula. You will lose some, so you will not get enough suppository to be given to the patient. So we would have to calculate to prepare in excess. Okay, if you are asked to prepare 6 suppository, you can calculate to prepare 10 suppository. Now we will consider that we are going to prepare 10 suppository. Okay, 10 gram of suppository final. And because we are going to use 30 milligram of morphine in each suppository, 30 milligrams times 10, so it would be 300 milligram of morphine hydrochloride. Okay, so if 1.5 gram of morphine hydrochloride will displace 1 gram of cocoa butter, if you have 0.3 gram of morphine hydrochloride, this will displace 0.3 times 1 divided by 1.5. This would be 0.2. Okay, so 0.2 gram of cocoa butter will be displaced. So there's a small part of the cocoa butter that will be replaced by the morphine hydrochloride. There's a small part of cocoa butter that should be filled in the mold that will be replaced by the morphine hydrochloride. Okay, when we fill the mold with the drug cocoa butter mix. I think it's a bit confusing, but bear with me. I hope you will see clearer after this. Okay. So now, we have calculated that 0.2 gram of cocoa butter will be displaced. So remember just now I said when we want to prepare 10 suppository, if you prepare 10 suppository of pure cocoa butter, you would have 10 gram of, you would need 10 gram of cocoa butter, right? So, but now you are going to replace 0.2 gram from here, okay, with the drug. So you minus 0.2 gram, okay, because this is the amount of cocoa butter that will be replaced by the morphine hydrochloride. So you will get 9.8 gram of cocoa butter needed for the preparation. The 0.2 gram will be replaced by 0.3 gram of morphine hydrochloride. The final weight will actually be, sorry, because now we are going to weigh only 9.8 gram of cocoa butter plus 0.3 gram of morphine hydrochloride. So basically at the end, you would have 10.1, right? Is it? Yes. 10.1 gram final weight, and you divide by 10 suppository. Each suppository will actually weigh 1.01 gram. Because the presence of the drug will replace a bit of the cocoa butter. The presence of the drug will replace a part of the cocoa butter, and because the density of the drug is different than cocoa butter, so that's why the final weight of the suppository will be a bit higher than the expected weight, which is supposed to be 1 gram. But the difference is not much, okay? So this is not a problem. If you have any question, please ask. Do you have any question? Do you want me to repeat?
Sorry, doctor.
Yeah.
I just want to confirm that 0.3 is come from the 30 mg of morphine hydrochloride, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hello, doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor, can you repeat the density part for the final weight? Why it's more than the expected weight?
Okay. So, so you know each material has a density, right? So if I say one 1 gram of drug A is equal to the density of 1 gram of drug A is equal to the density 1 gram of cocoa butter. So it means that the amount will be nothing will be displaced. Okay, if I take 1 gram of drug A, I replace with 1 gram of cocoa butter. The amount of cocoa butter that will need to be removed added with the drug will be the same, because it's 1 gram to 1 gram. Now, because morphine hydrochloride has a because 1.5 gram of morphine hydrochloride will displace 1 gram of cocoa butter, it means that it has a lower density, right, than the cocoa butter. Okay, we would need uh, a higher amount of morphine hydrochloride will be equal. How can I explain this? Okay, you have your mole. Okay, if you fill until the top, you have 1 gram of suppository. This was calibrated with cocoa butter. But now, when we want to add a drug, we can't expect the drug. We can't just mix the drug. Let's say 30 milligram. If we mix with, let's say 1 gram 970 milligram of cocoa butter. If we want to mix directly like this, we can't be sure that the final weight will be 1 gram. It will be less, because this drug will this amount of drug will not really if you add 30 milligram of drug with 970 of cocoa butter, the final weight will not be 1 gram. It will be less. It will be less than 1 gram. Do you get me? How can I explain this? So if you need to incorporate 30 milligram of drug in the cocoa butter, you need to know the displacement value. The displacement value is a standard value. Okay, it's a known standard value. Each drug has a different displacement value. Okay, so it's already being investigated, so you don't have to worry. If you need to calculate this, we will give you the displacement value for the drug. So the quantity of cocoa butter that will be displaced by the drug is already known. Okay, the amount is fixed. Okay, the amount has been investigated and it has been provided to us. So if we are going to just just add 30 milligram of drug plus 970 milligram of cocoa butter, this will not give us 1 gram of suppository. This will give us a bit less than the expected weight that we have to supply. We have to supply 1 gram of suppository, but if you just add like this, you would not get 1 gram that you have to give to the patient. So that's why we have to calculate from the displacement value. The displacement value, and this value will tell us how much cocoa butter will be displaced by each drug. Do you understand?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, okay. You have any other question? Okay, so the aim here is we want to make sure that we have enough mix, okay, enough mixture of drug and cocoa butter so that when we fill the mold, we will have sufficient or we will have the final weight of suppository of 1 gram. But here when we calculate, it's actually 1.01. So it's a bit more, but we don't have to worry about this. The difference is not that significant. Okay. Okay. So basically, what you have to do is that to prepare the suppository, first of all, you have to weigh the cocoa butter. Okay. Weigh the cocoa butter. So you have to weigh 9.8 gram of cocoa butter. And then you have to put this in your evaporating dish. Okay, what is an evaporating dish? Okay, this is the evaporating dish. Later on, you will have your own locker. So you will have all this glassware for your own use. Okay, so you will have to weigh the cocoa butter inside this evaporating dish. Okay, and then you have to melt it. Okay, melt it over water bath. You will also have to prepare a water bath. Okay, everyone will have their own water bath. So you will have to melt this over water bath. So while this is melting, you weigh the morphine. Okay, how much to weigh is 300 milligram. Okay. Okay, melting cocoa butter has do and don'ts. Okay, that you have to follow, because cocoa butter is a natural source and it's very sensitive. So melting of cocoa butter should not be done more than 36 degrees Celsius. So if you melt at higher temperature, the suppository that you get will not form. Okay, the suppository will not form, it will be easily melted. Okay, that's why you have to make sure that when you melt the suppository, it does not exceed 36 degree. So what should you do? So you have your water bath. Okay, and you put your evaporating dish here. So this is your evaporating dish. Okay, so you put your cocoa butter inside, and you have to be ready with your thermometer. Okay, so you have to pay careful attention to the cocoa butter. So when it started to melt, you measure the temperature, and when it reached like around 30 degrees Celsius, you remove from heat. Remove from heat, remove from heat, and you stir. You just put on your bench, okay, and you stir with a glass rod. You stir, and if it seems to be difficult to melt, you put back on the heat. You have to be careful at this stage. You don't want to exceed 36 degree, so you have to be careful. You can only heat here until 30 or 32 max. You don't go higher than this, because if you go higher, you will tend to reach 36, and at the end, your suppository will easily melted when you remove later on. Okay. After you have successfully melt all the cocoa butter, because the cocoa butter is in the form of solid, so you have to melt all the cocoa butter, and then you have to do levitation. You take your glass slab. So what is a glass slab? Glass slab is something like this. Okay, like this. Okay, so it's a form of glass. Okay, a piece of glass that that will be used for levitation. Okay, so basically when you want to do levitation, you would need a glass slab and a palette knife. So what is a pellet knife? Yours that you have in the lab would be something like this. Okay, this is the type of pellet knife that we have in the lab. You will have 2 of this. So you will use this to levitate the product. So how to do levitation? It's difficult, levitation of suppository. Okay, so I show you some example like this. But this is for preparation of paste.
We're going to make a paste now. And
more or
as you can
less the
tell,
same.
we've already incorporated the powders together using the method I've shown previously. We've got our base in front of us, and as a paste, it's going to be fairly concentrated. So there's not a great deal of base, but there's quite a lot of powder. Okay.
Yeah, so basically you are going to put your powder, the morphine powder, on the glass slab, and then
Against the side. As it's a paste, it's going to be very concentrated. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rest of the base to give myself something to work into.
okay, and then you put your base. Your base should be melted base. It should be the melted cocoa butter. You put your
I'm just going to
base
soften
on the
up the base a
powder.
little bit first.
And then you do levitation. This is one of the way to do levitation. Basically, you are going
You
to
will
mix
need a
by
bit more
pressing.
force than you did for the cream, and that's because as a paste it's a lot thicker and the base we're using is a lot thicker as well.
Okay, I will try to find cocoa butter suppository. Okay, So this is the cocoa butter is melting here. Okay. Okay, when it's in this form, when it's in this melted form, then only you transfer into your glass slab that has the powder to levitate it. Okay, to levitate the melted cocoa butter with your powder. So after you have successfully incorporated the powder in the melted cocoa butter, you have to transfer back. You have to use your pellet knife to transfer back the mix from the glass slab into the evaporating dish. Okay. Saya try cari satu lagi. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. Okay, so so here you transfer your powder here. Okay, your morphine hydrochloride powder, and then you pour in the melted cocoa butter, and then you use the palette knife, okay, to levitate. Levitate means you press the melted cocoa butter, pressed it on the glass slab, and pressed it in a circular motion to mix it with the powder. Okay, to mix it with the powder. You can use both palette knife to do this. So if you have problem during the practical later on, it's okay. We will be there to show you how exactly to do this step. Okay, so you mix this well, and then you transfer all back into your evaporating dish. You transfer back, and then you continue stirring into by using glass rod. Okay, and then you have to pour into your mold. Okay, next, the mold. Okay, this mold will have to be lubricated. Lubrication is necessary for suppository prepared from cocoa butter, because this will help when we want to remove the cocoa butter, the suppository from the mold later on. If we don't lubricate, it will stuck on the stainless steel mold, and it will be very difficult to remove from the mold. So lubrication is done by using a mixture of ingredient. Okay, lubrication. Okay, so the lubrication will be by using soft soap, glycerol, and ethanol 90%. You don't have to worry about this. We will prepare the mix for you. You just have to lubricate the mold. You don't have to prepare this mix. Okay, this mix will be prepared by the lab staff, and you just have to use the lubricant to lubricate your mold. So what should you do? Basically, you will open the mold. Okay, you will open it into two parts. Okay, 1 and 2, and it will be like half like this, right? Okay, so it will, okay, it's like this. So you will use a cotton bud. Okay, a cotton bud. You dip into the lubricant. Dip into the lubricant, and then you just swab on the inside part of the mold. You just swab well, okay, everywhere, and then you close. You put the mold together. Okay, you put the mold together, and then you take a piece of tissue paper, put the mold upside down. Okay, to drain any excess lubricant. Okay, to drain any excess lubricant on the tissue paper. So this you can let for like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, and after that, you transfer the mold into the freezer. You transfer the mold into the freezer to let it cool. Okay, after you transfer into the freezer, then only you start to prepare your suppository. So means that when you come to the lab, you have to prepare, you have to lubricate the mold first, then only you do all this. Then only you do this weighing of the cocoa butter, melting the cocoa butter, and everything else. The first step that you have to do is to lubricate the mold first, okay, and then put in the freezer. Later on, after you finish preparing your suppository, when it's already mixed in the evaporating dish, the morphine hydrochloride and cocoa butter, right? You already have a molten mix. You remove the the mold from the freezer. So now the mold will be very cold, right? Okay, cold mold. And then you pour this molten mix into the mold. So you have your mold. Okay, like this. You pour the molten mix directly into the cold mold. Why this is important? Because when it's cold, this will make the the solidification of the mix will be very, very fast. Okay, so as opposed to you using a the mold that is not pre-cooled, this will take a longer time for the suppository to harden. Okay, so when you pour into the mold, for cocoa butter, another precaution that you have to remember is that when you pour, you have to pour in excess. You have to let it pour like an overflow. Okay, you don't you have to prepare more than the amount needed by the mold. So it will be like a bit overflow around here. It's okay. After it's hardened later on, we will trim this by using a knife. Okay, so after you fill this, you can transfer back into the freezer and let it in the freezer for 30 minutes to harden. Okay, and after that you can remove the suppository from the mold. Remove from mold, and then we have to wrap in aluminium foil. Okay, so how to wrap, I will show you during the practical class. Okay, so I will repeat. The first step that you have to do in the when you come to the lab is to get the mold. Okay, to get the mold, find the cotton bud. Okay, we usually will prepare in the lab. Okay, we will provide that in the lab, the cotton bud and also the lubricant. Lubricate the mold first. Put the mold together. Okay, put it upside down to drain the excess lubricant. Okay, put it upside down on the tissue paper to drain the excess lubricant. Okay, put it for 5 to 10 minutes and then transfer into the freezer. Okay, so then only you start preparing your suppository. Okay, you weigh all the material, the cocoa butter and the drug. You weigh the cocoa butter, you melt it, and then you levitate, and then when it's already in the molten form, okay, you take out the mold from the freezer. Now it's a cold mold. Okay, you transfer the melted mix into the mold. You transfer into the mold in overflow. You have to make it overflow a bit. Okay, why? Because cocoa butter has a characteristic of cocoa butter will shrink when you freeze it. Okay, so if you don't put it in overflow, your suppository will form like a concave here, like it's supposed to be like this, right? But if you don't fill in overflow, it will be like this. Okay, so it will not be a nice suppository. So you have to fill a bit overflow like this, okay, on the mold. So after this, after you transfer into the mold, you put back the fill mold into the freezer, let it for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you can remove from the freezer and remove the suppository from the mold. Okay. Before you remove suppository from the mold, we will have to trim this first. Okay, we use a knife. We will cut this slowly and remove the excess material here. Okay, so then only we will open the mold. Open the mold, remove the suppository. Okay, and then we wrap in aluminium foil. Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Are you okay? Are you pening? Okay, so the label will be like this. Okay, morphine suppository 30 milligram. Okay, you have to specify the 6 suppositories. 1 suppository to be used when necessary, I think according to the prescription. Yes, 1 suppository PRN. For rectal use only, this is important to put, yeah, for rectal use only. Discard after 3 months. So the expiry for suppository is 3 months. Why? Because there are no water incorporated in the preparation. When there's no water or aqueous phase incorporated in the preparation, the expiry can be a bit longer and it can reach 3 months. Okay, so you have to add here each suppository contains 30 milligram of morphine and 980 milligram of theobromine oil. Okay, do you have any question? Okay, so I will move to the next one. Okay, exercise 4.2 is glycerol suppository. Glycerol suppository, or also known as glycerogelatin. Glycerogelatin suppository. Okay. So the instruction is to prepare 1 gram, okay, suppository, and to send also 6 suppository. So now, the parent formula for the preparation is 70% glycerol BP, 15% gelatin, and water. Sorry, this I missed. It shall be QSAD 100%. Okay, so that's basically only about 15% of water. So as 10 suppository means that we would use, or we would have 10 gram of base, but we have to pay attention to this method also. As you remember just now, I mentioned for cocoa butter, when we add drug, we have displacement value. But for glycerogelatin, there's another value that we have to consider, which is the density correction value. Density correction value. This is specific for glycerogelatin. So if you need to prepare glycerogelatin suppository, you would need to consider this density correction value. Okay, why we have to consider this? Because as I mentioned earlier on, the mole that we have is made for cocoa butter suppository. It's not made for glycerogelatin. So when we want to use glycerogelatin, we have to consider the density correction value, which is 1.2. This is the value. So as we are going to prepare 10 gram of suppository, and there's no drug, no drug will be incorporated. It's just an empty suppository. It's just the glycerogelatin alone. Okay, so we don't have to consider any displacement value. We just use the 10 gram amount that because as we are going to prepare 10 suppository. Okay, but we have to consider the density correction value. So 10 gram times 1.2 will equal to 10.2. Okay, 10.2 gram. You can directly use this 10.2 gram to calculate the 10.2 gram, okay, as glycerol 70%, gelatin 15%, and water approximately 15%. So you can use this value directly to calculate, or you are also allowed, if you want to make your life easier, you can use a round number. Like if you want to use 11 gram or 12 gram or even 15 gram, you are allowed to do this. This will make it easier to weigh, okay, to weigh the material, and it will be much easier for you to calculate too. So for me, I would like to use 15 gram, okay. So I would calculate to prepare 15 gram instead and not 10.2 gram. Okay, do you get me? Okay, so how much would be needed? I think you can calculate, yeah. So for this one, it should be approximately, okay, 10.5 gram for glycerol BP, gelatin 2.25, and water about 2.25 gram. Okay.
Doctor,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
May I know why 10 times 1.2 is not equal to 12?
Maybe I make a mistake.
Because supposedly is 12.
10 times 1.2. Yes, correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Welcome.
so it's 12, eh? Okay, so it's 12. Okay, so you can directly use this 12 gram, or you can even calculate for a bit more, 15, 13. It's okay, but not too much. You please don't calculate for 20 lah, because that would be too much. You can calculate for 12 gram. You can calculate up to 15 gram. Okay, so for here I give an example for, this is not 10 lah. This would be more. Okay, so I calculate for 15 gram here. Okay, so you can calculate for 12. Okay, but you can also calculate up to 15 gram. Okay, now you already calculate your the amount of material that you will need. Okay, for glycerogelatin also you need to lubricate, but in this for this type of suppository, the lubricant will be Arachis oil or liquid paraffin. Okay, this is a different lubricant than the one that we use for cocoa butter. Again, I repeat, for the lubricant for glycerogelatin, we need to use either Arachis oil or liquid paraffin. But you have to be cautious. If the patient is allergic to peanut, you cannot use Arachis oil, because Arachis oil is a peanut oil. Okay. Okay. Arachis oil is a peanut oil, so we try to avoid Arachis oil if the patient is allergic to peanut. So to be on the safe side, you can always use only liquid paraffin instead. Okay, so it's the same. You lubricate the mold, drain excess of lubricants, okay, and then place in the freezer. Okay, so and then you can proceed with the with the preparation. So you would need to heat the glycerol until 100 degrees. Okay, and then separately you would need to dissolve the gelatin. If you ever prepare a jelly at home, you would know that dissolving a gelatin is not easy. Okay, so first you have to soak the gelatin. You have to soak the gelatin first before you can proceed with solubilizing. So okay, so you soak the gelatin for a while, and then you heat the water to melt the gelatin or to dissolve the gelatin. And then when you have the gelatin solution, then only you add in the hot glycerol. Okay, you mix them thoroughly. Okay, to make sure all of the gelatin is solubilized. You have to make sure the gelatin is fully solubilized. You can't have clumps in your mix, because when you transfer into the mold later on and you have your suppository, a clump will make your suppository look very bad. Okay, stir, but make sure there's no air bubble. Okay, and for this preparation, air bubble is very easy to form. You have to do it slowly. Okay, when the solution is complete, weigh the evaporating dish and the content. You have to make sure that the amount of the final volume or the final weight is exactly what you want. If you calculate for 12 gram and at the end you weigh the evaporating dish, you have only like 10 grams, so you know that you don't have enough water in the preparation. Why I don't ask you to weigh the evaporating dish in exercise 4.1? Because it's using cocoa butter. You are using cocoa butter will not evaporate. But in this exercise 4.2, you are using water. So when you add water, you use, let's say you use 2.2 ml of water. Some of it may evaporate during the process. So you might not get 15 gram that you want, that you calculate for. So that's why I wrote here, before you start to prepare, you have to weigh the evaporating dish first. Okay, when you know the weight of the evaporating dish, when you so that at the end when you complete the preparation, when you weigh the evaporating dish again, you will know how much of your product is available in the evaporating dish. If you weigh and you get like less than expected amount, you would need to add some water to reach the weight that you are expecting. Okay, and then pour the hot mess into the chilled mold. Okay, after skimming off the skin. So if you see there's a a skin on the surface of the melted mix. So you have to remove that. At times there's there's bubbles, there's some kind of skin. Okay, so you can remove that and pour into the mold, into the chill mold, cool in the freezer for like 30 minutes. So remove the suppository, okay, wrap in aluminum foil. Okay, the label will also be red. Okay, glycerogelatin or glycerol suppositories, BP. One suppository to use when necessary, for rectal use only. Discard. Here I made a mistake again. You should put 4 weeks. Discard after 4 weeks. Keep out of reach of children. I will get back to you about the expiry date. I think it should be 4 weeks, but I will confirm again with you. Okay, you have any question? Okay, boleh? Okay, so we will continue with exercise 4.3. 4.3 is the preparation of an ointment. So if you can imagine, ointment is like the tiger balm, okay, that you have at home. Tiger balm, and yeah, one of a common, and also Vicks that you have at home. Vicks and tiger balm are examples of ointment. Okay, so you can imagine that they are very oily, okay, and there's no water incorporated in the preparation. So as an example, in this exercise, we are going to prepare emulsifying ointment. And this emulsifying ointment can be used as an emollient. Okay, if you have dry skin, you can apply on the skin. Okay, to moist. Okay, to improve the moisture in the skin. Okay, so the formula will consist of white soft paraffin 50%, emulsifying wax 30%, and liquid paraffin 20%. Okay, and you are going to submit 20 gram. Okay, for ointment, cream, suppositories, paste, okay, for preparation like this, if you are expected to send 20 gram, you should prepare a bit more. You have to calculate for like 25 gram or 30 gram, because some will stick on the evaporating dish, some will be lost on the spatula, some will be lost everywhere. Okay, so you have to calculate for a bit more so that you have 20 gram at the end of the preparation. Okay, so as an example here, I calculate for 25 gram. Okay, so basically we need 12.5 gram of white soft paraffin, 7.5 gram of emulsifying wax, and liquid paraffin 5 gram. Okay, so liquid paraffin here is in the form of liquid. Okay, so it's supposed to be in ml. But as the formula call for gram, weight over weight, I will use gram instead. So what should you do later on? You don't have to use a measuring cylinder. You can use you can directly weigh the liquid paraffin in a beaker. Okay, so you put a beaker on the weighing balance and you pour in liquid paraffin until it reach 5 gram. Okay, that's not a problem if you do that. But if you want to use the measuring cylinder, you have to use the density value to convert 5 gram into the corresponding ml. So here I suggested to continue with 5 gram of liquid paraffin. Okay, so you weigh the liquid paraffin, weigh the white soft paraffin and emulsifying wax separately, and transfer them into the same evaporating dish as the liquid paraffin. Okay, and then you can place the evaporating dish on the water bath and melt it. Okay, stir until all ingredients have melted. Okay, and produce a homogeneous mix. So you stir well. Allow to cool a bit. Okay, when you allow to cool, I don't expect you to allow because when you let the mixture to cool, it will harden. Okay, it will form a material with a texture like Vicks. Okay, so if you want to pour into the container, you cannot pour when it's already in the form of when it's already hardened. You have to pour when it's in the form of still flowy. Okay, so you allow it to cool, but it's still in the liquid form. Okay, at this point you can transfer directly into the container that we will provide to you. So even though it's still hot, it's okay to be poured into the container, although it's a plastic container. Okay, you can transfer into the container, but I don't expect you to transfer a very hot mixture lah. You let it cool a bit. Okay, you let it cool a bit and transfer into the container, and then you let it cool in the container, and then you will have a nice looking emulsifying ointment. Okay, you will have something like when you buy new Tiger Balm, right? You see that it's really, homogeneous, nice looking. So that's how it will look. Okay. Okay, so the label will be 20 gram emulsifying ointment BP. Okay, apply on the affected hand. I think it's hand, right? As directed when necessary. For external use only, this is important to be available on the label. Discard after 3 months. So don't forget to put the date here. Okay, it's also 3 months because there's no water available in the formulation. Okay, so that would be ointment. Next, after this, you're going to prepare a cream. Okay, this is an aqueous cream. Aqueous cream is, I think you can easily buy from the pharmacy, of course, but it's a common cream that is being prescribed for many skin type problems like dryness or itchiness at times. Okay, so to prepare the aqueous cream, okay, again, so you are asked to submit 20 gram. You can calculate to prepare like 25 gram or 30 gram. Okay, so in this formulation, you are going to use the emulsifying ointment that you prepare in exercise 4.3. Okay, you prepare in exercise 4.3. This one you are going to use in the formulation in 4.4. Okay, so you are going to use emulsifying ointment, chlorothiazole, and purified water. Only these are the ingredients. Okay, so the formula asks for 300 gram of emulsifying ointment, 10 gram of chlorothiazole, and 690 gram of purified water if you are going to prepare 1000 gram of cream. But now you are going to prepare only 25 gram. Okay, so here I calculate for 25. Emulsifying ointment needed is only 7.5 gram. So sorry, here you change to chlorothiazole. Okay, 0.25 gram. And also purified water, 17.25 gram. Okay, so first you weigh the emulsifying ointment, 7.5 gram in. Okay, you take an evaporating dish. You put your emulsifying ointment. Okay, 7.5 gram. Okay, and then you heat it. Heat to melt. You have to melt this. Okay, heat to melt. Okay, when you heat this, you have to make sure the temperature reach about 65 to 70 degrees. You have to heat until it's 65 to 70 degrees. Okay, you heat until it's 75 to 70 degrees. Okay, and separately, oh, before I forget, make sure you weigh this evaporating dish. Okay, in preparing the cream, you have to weigh the evaporating dish. Record the evaporating dish weight. Evaporating dish weight. Okay, record the weight. Okay, record the weight. And you take a second evaporating dish. also record the weight. Okay, you pour in the water. So how much you need? 17.25. I would suggest to you to weigh a bit more. You can use like 18 or 19 gram of water. Okay, because some will be evaporated during the process. So maybe you can take like 19 gram of water. 19 gram is equal to 19 ml. Okay, you put in the water in the evaporating dish. And you add in the chloroxyethanol. Okay, chlorotresol. Okay, you add in the chlorotresol and you heat this. You heat this until it reach also 75 to 70 degrees. When you want to prepare a cream, this temperature is important. If your oil phase, this is considered as the oil phase, and your water phase does not reach this temperature, your cream will not form. Okay, so you have to make sure your oil phase, this emulsifying ointment is considered as the oil phase, is 75 to 70 degree. And for the water phase, it's also heated at around this temperature. Okay, you only have one water bath. You only have one water bath. So first, maybe you have to melt the oil phase, which is the emulsifying ointment. Okay, you have to melt this. So when it reach like 70 to 65 to 70 degree, you have to remove this and put in the second one. Put in the water phase. Okay, you put in the water phase on the water bath. So when you put this away from heat, of course this will the temperature will reduce, right? The temperature will reduce. And when you heat this until 70 degree, maybe here now the temperature will remain at 55 degree or maybe 50 degree. Okay, so remove this from heat and you have to heat this again. Heat this again. You have to make sure the two phases are at 65 to 70 degrees. Then only you can proceed with the next step. Okay, so that's why I ask you to heat until at least 70. So the temperature will reduce a bit, will not reduce that much because we need to have the temperature at least at 65 degree when you mix the two phases. Okay, now your oil phase is already at 65 degree now, let's say, and then you have your water phase. Water phase also at 65 degree. Now, you are going to prepare aqueous cream. This aqueous cream is oil in water cream. You are going to mix the two phases, oil phase and water phase. So because you are going to prepare oil in water cream, you have to add in the oil phase into the water phase. Okay, you add in the oil phase into the water phase. Now it's in your evaporating dish, right? You add in and then you have to mix. You have to use your pestle, okay, to mix it. Pestle and mix. Mix continuously until it's cool. When it's cool, it will form the cream. Okay, I think I have a video on this. I will show you so that you have some idea. Sekejap. Okay, so this is the video that we prepared. It's not as nice as the previous video, but I think you can have some idea. Okay, so this was the video was for other product, was for another product, but I think you have the idea that you have to make sure both faces are at the same temperature. The lowest temperature should be 60, but I think to be safe you can heat until 65 or 70. Okay. Yeah, so that's how you are going to prepare the cream later on. Okay, so last preparation. Okay, so the label, sorry, 20 gram aqueous cream, apply as directed when necessary, for external use only. Discard after 4 weeks, yeah. Okay, so the last one is, you don't have this prescription. I will upload in e-learn later on, but because I think you have to know about paste too. Paste. Okay. Okay, so this is a formula of paste. Paste, if you want to imagine, is like toothpaste. Okay, so the texture will be like that. So paste has a high content of powder. So usually for a paste, it has to be like more than 50% of water, of powder, more than 50% of powder in the formula. So that is considered as paste. The carrier or the vehicle for paste can be water or can also be wax, okay, or in this case it's white soft paraffin. So basically, okay, you have to send 25 gram. So here you can calculate for 30 gram. Okay, so as you can see, the amount of powder here, zinc oxide, salicylic acid, and starch made up 50% of the preparation. Okay. Okay, so this cream is used to treat and prevent diaper rash because of the presence of zinc oxide. Okay, so how should you do? Okay, first of all, you weigh the white soft paraffin, melt it in an evaporating dish. Okay, so now you have a molten white soft paraffin. And then while waiting for the white soft paraffin to melt, you weigh all the powder. Okay, mix in mix through geometric dilution. Ensure all is homogeneous. Okay, and then remove the white soft paraffin from heat. Okay, after all are melted, you can add in powder directly into the evaporating dish and stir with a glass rod or a pestle. Okay, a glass pestle, or you can also levitate on the glass slab. Okay, so you can either triturate in the evaporating dish directly, or you can levitate on the glass slab. Okay, so you continue until all powder is added, and then you have to weigh out 25 gram and transfer into the container. So the label will be 25 gram Lhasa paste, apply as directed 3 times a day for external use only, and discard after 3 months. Okay, so that will be all. Any question? Okay, I will share this recording, of course. You have any question? So if you are not sure about anything, you can always ask in the Padlet, or you can email me. If I will check the Padlet from time to time. Okay. And if I take too long to answer, you can just text me or you can email me. Okay. So I hope you can try to prepare the worksheet. Okay. And for the final exam, as I mentioned earlier on, you would have a practical test, right? A practical exam. But at the moment, we are not sure yet whether you will have, we are sure that you are going to have exam, you are going to have final exam. But we are not sure yet whether it will be face-to-face or online. But at the moment, what we know is it will be online lah. So we will see how it goes. If it's online, then the question will be hard lah for you. Okay, So I think that will be all from me if you don't have any questions. So thank you. And if you have any question, you can ask. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.